Rocky, shh.
We will be starting a new topic today. Who likes algebra? Put in an emoji if you've solved this puzzle. What does dot mean? What's dot? Ah, dot would be, oh, I didn't even notice the dot. I was assuming all of them were plus. Oh, so my answer is wrong then. Okay, so the dot means a times. The wink would be 12. Do we agree that? Yeah. So the wink would be 12. And then the screaming one would be 2. All right. So what would be our answer? Therefore, what would be the answer to the last line? So we've got really good clues here. We'd be able to solve the puzzle now. So the first face would be an 8. The wink one would be a 12. And then the screaming one would be a 2. What would be our answer? Is it 98? How did you figure out 98? So wink is 12. That was 8 times 12, you get 80, 96, and 2 would be 98. Yes, you are right. And thank you for who said that? What does the dot mean? Felix, that's really good. I really thought it was a plus. So when I was solving it in my head, I didn't get a 98. So I had to redo that. So did you like this puzzle? Anyone who didn't like this puzzle? All right, so I would assume that everyone liked this puzzle, because then if you like this puzzle, right, that's actually algebra. It's about symbols, right? But because we won't be able to draw all those pictures, lovely pictures every single time, then mathematicians said, well, maybe we can just use simple symbols, right? Wherein the symbols would be easily drawn, wherein everyone would be using it in their everyday lives, right? So why don't we just use letters, literacy and maths and numeracy combined, right? So that this here, the puzzle here that we've got, is really what algebra is about. It's about patterns, right? It's about symbols, using symbols, and these symbols would mean some numbers, okay? Now, there would be 2 parts of algebra, one that is concerned about what the symbol is, okay? And there's another one wherein it doesn't actually matter what the symbol holds. It just says that whatever number that is, this is how we will do it, okay? And that's what we will be talking about today. We'll be talking about algebraic techniques, starting off with substitution. Okay, substitution. What does that mean? Any clues? Just like maybe if you would want to, if you're looking for a movie on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever, this is not a plug for those ones, but whatever you've got there, right? You would probably want to look at the trailer, right? Or maybe just have a look at the title. This title seems interesting, right? So our substitution, that's our title. Anyone who could guess what we will be doing today? And maybe that clue there about our big ID. Anyone who could explain maybe, or maybe give us like a trailer of what the movie is about, what our maths movie is about, huh? Anyone? We're going to be learning about X's and Y's. That's right. We're going to be learning about symbols. Symbols, now that would be X and Y. It could be A, could be B, could be your favorite letter, right? The letter that starts with your name, right? So all these letters, those are algebraic expressions. So before we had numerical expressions, this time we've got algebraic expressions. And what we want to do specifically about algebra, because it's very broad, we'll narrow it down to one thing, one skill that we'll be learning today, which is algebraic expressions, substituting into algebraic expressions so that we will be able to evaluate that algebraic expression. When you say evaluate, what does that mean? Pretty sure it would probably be different from how you would be using evaluate in other subjects. In maths, what do you think it means when you say evaluate? What could be the root word? Figure out. The root word is value, evaluate, right? So we want to figure out the value of that algebraic expression. And we said that pronouns would replace a noun. So the same thing with maths, when we have numerals, it will be replacing a numeral, right? Just like what we did here, right? Those symbols there would be replacing a numeral. So these are our success criteria. We know we're successful if we can evaluate algebraic expressions, show steps in evaluating expressions. So it's not just saying that the value of the algebraic expression is 2, you would want to write it out as well, okay? And then generate a number pattern from an algebraic expression. So algebra is all about patterns. Maths is all about patterns. In year 7, we learned about variables, or what we call pronumerals. So pronumerals are the same as variables. Variables because the numbers can vary. So when we say expression and when we say equation, the root word there would be to equate, right? With that one, that's when you have your equal sign. Those are the ones that we will be learning about next term, okay? So those two were the ones that I was talking to you about. When you say algebra, there would be algebraic expressions, and also you've got your algebraic equations, okay? So now we will just be talking about expressions, okay? Just like probably in English, you would probably have what you say phrases, right? And then you have sentences. When you have two phrases together, right, it will now have meaning, right? So with this one, we just want to look at algebraic expressions, okay? And what can we do with algebraic expressions? It's the same thing that we would be doing with numbers, okay? So we will be adding them, we will be subtracting them, multiplying them, and dividing them. With multiplication, let's write that down. So when we have 8n, right, that means it's 8 times n. We don't write algebraic expressions with a times symbol. The same thing, if we would have y divided by 6, we write it as a fraction, y over 6. Okay, so those are just some of those notations or conventions that mathematicians said, well, it doesn't look nice when you have 8 times n. It's too much space, too much writing. So let's just say it's 8n. Okay, and then when you have y divided by 6, you just write it with a fraction. When you have 12ab, that just means, so let's probably say, what's the meaning? The meaning would be 12 times a times b. It's not 1 times 2 times a times b, okay? So when you have 12, that's a 2-digit number, right? So it would be together. It's 12 times a times b, okay? Let's have a look at some examples here. We'd probably need to translate some of them before we go on to substitution, okay? Okay, so write an expression for the number of ants in the nest if 25 ants died. This is so cruel. So we've got B, right? And we usually use small letters, okay? B minus 25, that's right. How about the next one? When we have write an expression for the number of ants, if the nest, in the nest, if the original ant population doubled. So when it's doubled, B times 2. So when we have B times 2, we don't write it as B2, right? But by convention, we write what? 2 B. Yeah, so it's numbers first, then letters. Okay, why don't we write B2? Because we actually have a notation such as B to the power of 2. What does B to the power of 2 mean? So we're talking about meaning, right? The meaning of all these expressions. So is there any difference between these two here? B squared and 2B, are they the same? B squared is B times B. That's the meaning. Whilst when you have 2B, so you can say it's 2 times B, I would like to just say it's B plus B. All right. So what are you doing with B when you have B squared? You're multiplying it by itself. When you have 2B, what you're doing to B is you're adding it to itself. Okay. Next, write an expression for the number of ants in the nest if the original population increased by 50. When it's increased by 50, we're adding 50. That's right. Now we would be able to substitute values into these letters so that we can find out the value of our algebraic expression. Okay, so when you say, again, the words that we use for this skill is either, so your questions that you will find in your exercises would be, it says evaluate the expression. Okay, so when it says evaluate the expression, right, you're not writing paragraphs and saying that this and that, etc., etc. But what we're saying when in maths, when we say evaluate, the root word there is value. That means find the value, okay, of the expression, right? Another term that they would be using is what? Substitute. Okay, substitute the expression, the number into this letter. Okay, so it could be any of these two as your instructions for those questions that you will be finding in the work today. Find the value of the following expressions if A is 3 and B is 15. So we want the expression 6A. Again, you want to find out what the meaning is first. Write it out as a meaning. 6A means 6 times A, right? And therefore, you would have 6 times. Now, substitute your value of A that you're given. It said that A is equal to 3. So instead of writing A, you want to write 3, okay? And write down your answer. The answer would be 18. Next, question B. It says 7A minus 2B over 3. Whoa, that's a lot of operations there, right? We've got 1, 2, maybe 3 and 4 expressions or symbols, operations that we need to do here. And when we've got heaps of operations, what comes to mind? First, bid mass. Yes, so let's write that down. Our bid mass. Maybe I'll write it this way so we'll remember how it's done. Bid mass, right? So I'll write it in vertical order. Right, B stands for brackets, I stands for index or indices, and D and M stands for division or multiplication, whichever one comes first from left to right. And then the last of the order would be addition and subtraction, whichever one comes from left to right. Okay, so let's write down our meaning for this expression here. We've got 7A minus 2B over 3. What does 7A mean? What do we do with 7 and A? 7 times A minus, you would have 2B over 3. So similar to 7a, when you have 2b, that means 2 times b, did I write b? Times b divided by 3, right? Do we need any brackets here? We can put brackets, but the brackets would be unnecessary. So now let's substitute. 7 times, what's our value of a? A is 3 minus 2. What's the value of b? It's 15. Then divide by 3. Yeah? So now we follow our magical BIDMAS and we look for brackets, no brackets, indices, no indices. Therefore, we multiply first 7 times 3. We can have 21 there, and we can do that simultaneously with the rest of them. You've got from left to right, 2 times 15 is 30. And then divided by 3, you get 10. And our magic number would be 11. When you get your answer, do yourselves a favor, circle your final answer there, okay? And that's what our success criteria tells us a while ago what to do, that we need to write out our answers here. Okay, so the first thing we wrote would be the meaning. Yeah, next we want to substitute. And then after we substitute the values, we use our BIDMAS, right? And then maybe we can even write that down as our last step. Circle your answer, or even check if your answer makes sense. So those are our steps that we need to write when we would be evaluating or substituting values into the expression. Okay, who says that would be doable? Those 4 steps there. First meaning, then substitute, and then use our order of operations, and then for your last line, your last and final answer, circle it and then check. Thank you. All right, have a good day. See you, everyone.
Come on, Rocky, let's go.